How are we doing, everybody? I'm Cody Mountjoy. This is Happy Hills Cars and Stuff, and today we're going over how to install a downpipe in the Fiesta ST. For this install, you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, a flat tip screwdriver, a ratchet, a 7mm socket, 10mm socket and wrench, 13mm socket and wrench, a 15mm socket and wrench, O2 sensor removal tool, breaker bar, pliers, a impact gun, towels, silicone grease, brake cleaner, penetrating fluid, and if you want to use it, anti-seize. Start off by pulling the hood latch and opening the hood. Then pull off the plastic engine cover and set it to the side. Now remove the negative terminal from the battery, place a towel around the lead to prevent the lead from touching metal, and then set it to the side. Move on to the headlights and remove them by removing the two flat tip screws from the top of the headlights. Then remove the Phillips head pop clip. Pull back and lift up on the headlight. Then finally, take out the connector before setting the headlight to the side. Now do the same to the other headlight. Next, remove the caps off the windshield wipers and use a 15mm socket and ratchet to remove the nuts. Once the nuts are off, remove the wipers by wiggling them and pulling them up until they release. Now remove the following 6 clips from the cowl using either a flat tip screwdriver or pliers. Once those are off, lift up on the cowl and remove it from the car. Then remove the following 4 10mm bolts from the crossbeam. Before fully removing the crossbeam, you need to release the vacuum line from the clip. Now fully remove and set it to the side. Moving on to the intake, remove the mass airflow sensor by pulling back on the red tab, press on the button, and pull the sensor away. Then you're going to remove the front vacuum lines by releasing the green tab first, then pull away. Next, remove the rear PCV hose by pinching the rib tabs first, and then pull away. Now, using pliers, if you need them, pinch the tabs of the center vacuum line and pull away and set it to the side. Next, you need to loosen the rear intake hose clamp using a 7mm socket or a flat tip screwdriver. Then, using a 10mm socket and ratchet, remove the intake bracket nut. If you have the stock intake, you will probably need to remove the stud next to it as well. Now you can fully remove the air intake system by pulling up to release it from the grommets and the inlet hose. Now, loosen the hose clamp for the inlet hose and pull the hose off the turbo. Next, remove the following 5 10mm bolts from the heat sheet. Then, disconnect the O2 sensor connectors by prying away the yellow tab and then remove the connector. The blue connector should be released by pressing on the top and pulling away. Be sure to pry off these wire holders from the shield before moving on. Now take the O2 sensor removal tool and remove the upper O2 sensor using a ratchet and extension if you need it. Now with the sensor out of the way, move the heat shield to the side. Once done there, move down to the downpipe bracket and remove the 4 13mm nuts and then fully remove the bracket. Next, you're going to remove the lower O2 sensor using the same procedure as the upper one. Now go ahead and remove the 2 15mm nuts from the downpipe to the exhaust. If you have a separate mid-pipe, then loosen the clamp, separate the mid-pipe from the 2 front hangers, and then remove it completely. If you have the stock exhaust, remove from the 2 front hangers and let the exhaust hang down onto the cross member. Moving on to the downpipe, you're going to need to loosen the following 3 10mm bolts. Only remove the top bolt, however, because the downpipe slots are resting on the 2 lower ones. With the bolts loosened, lift the downpipe off the lower bolts and maneuver it out. You may have to manipulate some of the heat shielding to let it pass through the hole though. Once the downpipe is removed, take a flat tip screwdriver and remove the circular gasket from the old downpipe. You're going to want to clean it with brake cleaner and towels, and then place it into the new downpipe as shown. Be sure to remove the thread savers for the upper and lower O2 sensors before installing. Now install the downpipe and fully tighten the bolts to secure it to the turbo. Once it's secured, insert the lower O2 sensor, tighten using the O2 sensor tool, and route the connector to the top of the engine. Then you're going to need to reinstall the exhaust piping to the hangers and tighten down the clamps if it is a separate mid-pipe. Now you can insert the new gasket between the exhaust and the downpipe, then fully tighten the supplied bolts and nuts. If the downpipe doesn't require the bracket, you can either reattach it or just leave it off, personal preference. Next, you're going to reinsert the upper O2 sensor and tighten it using the sensor tool. Once that's in place, reconnect the O2 sensor connectors. Before moving on, you're going to look at the firewall. There should be a lock washer that you need to remove. Once you remove it, place the cable holder from the heat shield onto the peg and then tighten the washer down. Now replace the inlet tube and tighten the clamp. Then reinstall the intake by placing it into the inlet tube and pressing the housing down into the grommets. Next, go ahead and tighten the bracket bolt and then reinsert the stud if needed. Now reinstall the lines and connectors to the intake system. Then tighten down the inlet tube clamp. Once that's done, replace the crossbeam and tighten down the 4 10mm bolts. Then go ahead and reinsert the vacuum line into the clip. Once that's done, push the cowl into place and lock it down with clips. Then replace the windshield wipers and tighten down the 15mm nuts. Reinstall the headlights, tighten down the bolts, insert the pop clips, and then reconnect the connections. And then finally, reattach the battery lead, and then your job is complete. Thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like it, leave your comments in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. If you want to watch one of my other videos, click the link in the top left, or if you want to watch the downpipe exhaust before and after, top right. Have a good one.